Hey everyone, it's Nate here with Element Van Life. Just wanted to do my Tuesday Q&A video. I do these every other Tuesday. The way it works, if you have questions, just post them below in the comment section and I will answer them in person in my next Tuesday Q&A video. The next one will be on February 7th. Let's get started, guys. We have a ton of great questions to go over this week. First one comes from Coolio Two Foots. They say, I don't think I've seen or heard this question yet. What is your 5-year, 10-year, 20-year goal? How long do you plan on doing this? So in terms of the second part of the question, I plan to live in some sort of a mobile dwelling for indefinitely, for as long as I possibly can. I don't know if it'll be in this exact Honda Element. I mean, I'm sure at some point I'll want to upgrade and maybe try to get a bigger van or something like that. But I definitely see myself living as a nomad for the extended future. And that goes into the 5, 10-year area. I don't know about 20 years. I mean, that's a long time from now. But 5 to 10 years, yeah, I can see myself still living on the road, either traveling internationally full time or living just out of a custom camper van or an RV or something like that on the road full time. Definitely, I'm working towards developing remote streams of income and improving my freelance web design skills and stuff like that. So I definitely want to be able to support myself full time while being on the road for a long time. Next question comes from JDM44456. They say, hi Nate, what do you do for income and do you work while vanning? What is your budgeting like? Thank you, and I love your videos. Thank you. So yeah, for income, I work seasonal jobs. When I was in California, for example, I worked as a surf instructor for the summer out there. I took up a seasonal job in North Dakota, working at the sugar beet harvest. So I usually will just work like short-term jobs while I'm traveling to certain areas for a month, 2 months, maybe 3 months. I also supplement my income online, obviously with YouTube, and then with my freelance web development stuff that I do. I have a couple of clients that I work for here and there and have a couple gigs with that as well. So that's what I'm doing right now for income. And then budgeting it can definitely vary depending on how much I'm traveling. I do try to stick to around 12. I spend just about $1,200 to $1,500 a month though, somewhere in that area, month to month for everything. I do have like healthcare though that I pay for out of pocket and quite a few other things as well. So that's student loans in particular that take up a huge portion of that, but that's kind of how my budgeting is. Next question comes from Andrew S. They say, hi Nate, I only recently found your channel and I've been enjoying your videos. Thank you. I was curious if you have explored any parts of Canada with the Element or at some point in the past. If not, do you see yourself ever heading up to check out the cities and sites? British Columbia, my home province, has scenery that is quite stunning. Take care and best of luck on your journey. Yes, to answer that, Canada is definitely somewhere on the list of where I want to go. I'd say towards the top of it. I would love to do a road trip from where my family is and maybe spend a little time with them and then start road tripping across Canada through Quebec and all the way through Toronto, Ontario, and everywhere else, just across all of Canada, all the way to British Columbia, and then maybe up to Alaska. That is like my dream road trip, and it's something that I'm working towards. I don't know if it's going to happen this summer, but definitely at some point in the future, that is absolutely what I want to do. Filiberto Villegas, next question, says, hey Nate, I just want to say I enjoy your videos. Thank you. I was wondering how long do you plan on living in the Element? So I already kind of answered this question, but yeah, I mean, it's indefinite. I'm planning to live out of the Element indefinitely, and then if things go wrong with the Element, I'm planning to stay on the road and get a different van or a different Class B RV or something like that and live in that full time. I see myself living this lifestyle for a while. Next question comes from Dave Stens. They say, I think you cover the front windows at night. Why not keep the front windows and the front side windows uncovered and drape a drape between the front seats in the living area? That would seem to be more stealth. So the problem with that is that when I set up my bed, I have to move my front seats all the way forward, and then by doing that, my head is like in between, like right in the middle of where the front windows are. So I'd have to drape a curtain like around that part, and then if you looked in, you would see like half the window, and then all you would see would like the steering wheel and then like the front seats forward, and then my guitar up on the dash because that's where I put it. So I don't think it would work. Dave Stens also said another question. I thought the Sugar Beet company required the part-time workers that come in the fall to have fully equipped RVs. How did you get past that requirement? When I signed up for it, I just put that I was in a camper van, a custom camper van, and selected Class B, and they interviewed me and had no problem with it. When I got there, the local park ranger did have an issue with it, and if you check out the video that I made from back then, I don't remember what it's called, but it was back in October, I talk about the experience that I had with that, but it was kind of crazy and a pain, but in the end it worked out. It was just that one incident, and then they really had no problem with it, and it was fine. There were other people in vans that were out. There was a guy camped in a tent at a local piling station not too far away. So I don't know. I don't think that it's. They might make a big deal out of it up front just to kind of try to prevent it, but by putting Class B and saying that I was in a camper van, they didn't seem to have any problem with it in the end. Next question comes from Joseph Queen. Where do you keep your drone? You're a nice guy, nice clear speech for the professional speaker. Thank you. I keep my drone underneath my bed. I have a few things stored underneath there. I'm sitting right on top of it right now. Next question comes from Eschen Talks. They say, what would it take to run a desktop PC in the van? That's something I actually did think about for a while, just because desktops, you can get a much more powerful processor and graphics card, so I'd be able to do more with the video editing stuff and even some gaming and stuff like that. I did think about it, but I think the power supply for it would be too much of a drain on my solar system. I mean, there's no way that I could do it. Maybe if I upgraded and got something bigger with a really strong inverter and everything like that, then maybe you could do it, but desktop PCs definitely take up a lot of power, and they stay on, I think, all the time for the most part. They're always drawing some kind of power. So, I would definitely need to at least double my solar size and everything else just to even come close to considering doing something like that. Next question comes from One Man on Fire. They say, what's your current miles per gallon in the city and highway? In the city, I get somewhere between 16 and 18 miles to the gallon. New Orleans is particularly bad because the roads are so terrible that you have to constantly be on the brakes and accelerating. So it's really, really bad in New Orleans. Highway, I can get usually 23 to 24. The best I've ever gotten was around 27.9, I think. Maybe 28 or so, like right in that area. One Man on Fire says, thinking about buying a Honda Element myself, so this is another question from them. What would you do to redo the layout of your Honda Element if you had to start over again? I don't know if I would change too much. I'm not going to go in and change anything right now, but the closet space that I have that I built, I don't really use too much, so I would consider maybe trying to make this cabinet extend back a little further, and then maybe increase the size of the countertop right over here, so that then I have a little bit more room to maybe cooking stuff inside the Element without being too uncomfortable. I would also consider lowering this entire platform maybe by about 1 inch or 2 inches, because that would increase the headroom that I have in here to be a little bit more comfortable when sitting up and hanging out inside the Element. Next question comes from Maxwell Jan. They say, how many miles do you have on the Element? There's 130,000 miles on it right now. Next question comes from Korean Jindo. They say, we are uploading some surfing videos of yourself. Not sure. I think maybe he's asking if he wants me to. I haven't been surfing in a while, so I haven't really had a chance to put too much up there. Also, it's really, really hard to get surfing videos of yourself, with a GoPro in your mouth and being out in the ocean. It's really, really tough to do. So I don't really like to do it too much unless it's a smaller day, because if it's big, you just don't want to be dealing with that, not being able to breathe and stuff. Next question comes from Burkania. They say, have you ever got pulled over by police? If so, have they ever said anything about the covering on your windows and living in your car? So I've had a couple of issues with police, in parking situations. I'm sure I've been pulled over at some point with the stuff on my windows. I definitely was. I think it was a long time ago. In New Orleans, I think. But it was before I was living in the Element, and they never said anything about having anything in the windows. I really haven't had too much trouble with that, knock on wood. Next question comes from Luke13. They say, hey Ned, I just recently found your channel and I enjoy your videos a lot. Thanks for showing us the reality of living in a van, both good and bad. Thank you. My question is, with all the seasonal work and jumping around, are you still saving for retirement? My goal is to eventually pursue traveling, but I'd be hesitant of giving up a stable job with benefits like a 401k. Yeah, saving for retirement is not, I have a 401k from my old corporate job that I was working for a while, and that's just kind of still sitting there. But yeah, in terms of actively putting money into a 401k right now, it's not something I'm doing. At some point in the near future, I'm definitely going to look into that. It definitely, absolutely makes sense to do that. That being said, I don't know if I ever want to have a full retirement and just stop working at age 60 and die. That's not really what I want to do. I think that continuing to contribute and work and do things, I think keeps your mind more active, and I think that's definitely a good thing. But who knows? I mean, that's 50 years down the road. I have no idea what's going to happen in 50 years from now. I don't think any of us do. Next question comes from Alex. They say, hey Nate, new to your channel, but awesome video so far. Thank you. Sorry if this is a repeat question, but how do you balance dating or not dating and the van life? Thanks. So dating is definitely interesting. I mean, I definitely go on dates occasionally and meet girls and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's not an easy sell for sure. It's definitely not to bring it up and show that to people. But I'm not ashamed of the fact that I live in here. I'm very proud of my lifestyle and my lifestyle choice. And I believe that eventually, if I just keep doing what I love, that I'll find somebody who is right for me, and it'll work out. But yeah, I mean, just going on dates, just going out there and meeting folks and explaining to folks my lifestyle choice. I mean, hopefully eventually someone will be open to it and it'll work out. Next question comes from Mills Hairlong. They say, how do you get internet connection, or you do connect to nearby public Wi-Fi? So I primarily do use public Wi-Fi. I go to Starbucks like almost every day, and I work there for at least a few hours every day. I also have a Wi-Fi hotspot. I have a Sprint hotspot, which I'm actually going to get rid of and switch to Verizon too eventually. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, but it is nice to have that extra hotspot so that I can connect like right now in the elements and be able to work from in here. So it's nice. I can also tether my phone as well for a couple of gigs a month, so it works out. A couple of different ways to get connected, but I like being connected though, for sure. Next question comes from D. Nixon. They say, hey Nate, during one of your videos you were getting gas and I noticed where you placed your fuel cap. Thank you. I would not have known that if it weren't for your video. I'm looking forward to your adventures, and happy New Year and safe travels. Thanks. Yeah, I didn't realize it's not a question, but yeah, that little fuel cap area is really, really useful. It's nice. Next question comes from Muscati. They say, where do you find places to shower? I have a Planet Fitness gym membership. I shower there just about every day. Next question comes from Genus YouTube. They say, hey Nate, since you know someone might knock on your windows at night when you're sleeping, do you sleep in PJs, shorts, or sweats? So to answer that part, not typically. If someone knocks on my window and is wanting me to come out of the vehicle for some reason, for one, I'm not going to respond right away until I realize that they are definitely the police force. Otherwise, I'm not going to answer my door for some crazy person who's knocking on my window. So yeah, I mean, if it is the police and if it is confirmed that it's the police, then I'll say, just give me a minute and I'll get changed. And I have to break down the bed a little bit anyways to get out, so it takes a second. I'll yell, I'll say, just give me 1 minute, sir, I'm coming out, and then I'll cooperate with them and come out of the van. But yeah, I mean, if it's really hot out, like, I'm not going to sleep and sweat to death at night, obviously. I'll just wear my boxers and go to sleep. And then looks like there's a few more parts of the question here. Is it hard sleeping during rain or snowstorms, since the noise would be much louder than a typical home/condo dwelling? I don't mind sleeping in the rain when it rains really, really hard. Sometimes if it's like really, really hard, I'll wake up and then I'll fall back to sleep. I find it to be very soothing. I actually really enjoy it. So I don't usually try to park under a tree or anything like that. If there's going to be really, really crazy weather, I do have a spot in town in a parking garage that I can park at occasionally. I very, very rarely do because it is patrolled by police, so I don't want to have any trouble. But I mean, if I'm really, really worried about like flooding or severe issues with that, then I will stay in the garage. But I've only done that once in the last, since I've been back to New Orleans. Lastly, what's the best food/meal you've eaten in New Orleans that we don't really have here in Southern California? Oh man, that's a tough question. I've shown po' boys a lot in my videos. I absolutely love like a good fried shrimp po' boy with the French bread and everything like that. You can't get that anywhere else. I mean, they exist elsewhere in the country, but it's not the same as it is here. I also really like gumbo and jambalaya a lot. I don't really eat it that often, but I really enjoy that. Oh, and turtle soup is amazing. And that's something that really only exists here. And it sounds really cruel and terrible, but I don't even know if they actually use turtle. They might, but I don't know. It's delicious. It's one of my favorite foods. Next question comes from Joshua Morrow. They say, hey man, I'm excited to say that today I start my truck living and I'm moving from Connecticut to California, and all I got is my truck. Right on, dude. Right on. Follow your dreams, dude. Definitely go for it. Keep me posted. Let me know how that goes. Next question comes from Jim Jones 999. Hey Nate, local New Orleans guy with an element. Wondering if you had time when you head back, perhaps we could compare notes. Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're around in New Orleans, just send me an email and we can try to hook up at some point. I would I would love to meet up with you. That sounds good. Next question comes from David Weber. They say, always great videos, Nate. Thank you. Do you have any plans to change the interior living area of the Element, cabinets, dedicated cooking area, etc.? Yeah, those are things that I would love to do. I don't know if it's worth the trouble of breaking it all down. Like, it's set up so nice right now that, like, to go in and to, like, you know, like I said, to lower the overall setup, like I just mentioned in a previous question, and then to remove the closet to try to increase cooking space. I don't know. It would take a lot of effort, and I'm pretty happy with it overall, so I don't really plan to make any changes unless I'm getting a new van and rebuilding out an entire new camper van. Next question comes from Courtney B. They say, hey Nate, thanks for the videos. I've really enjoyed every single one, and I feel inspired. Can I add your song to my playlist by chance? Yeah, sure. Feel free to. That's a cover song by Passenger that I did in that previous video, the recent one there. But yeah, I mean, I don't see why not. Next question comes from Gary Cole. Do you have any plans once you leave New Orleans to visit other places in the United States, Canada, or Mexico? Yes, yeah, I mentioned that just a minute ago. I'm not so sure about Mexico yet. Maybe at some point I'd want to go down to Baja and spend some time down there. But Canada is definitely on the radar. I would love to road trip across Canada, and if I can make it all work out, I will definitely try to do that either this summer or at some point next year. Next question comes from Greg Sims. They say, hi Nate, I love your channel. Thank you. I live in Nova Scotia and I'm a proud owner of a 2006 Element. Right on. I plan to travel across Canada this summer living out of the Element, and you are a great source of ideas at Conversion Mod. Can you tell me how high your wooden bed frame or platform is above the Element floor? Can you sit up straight while sitting in bed? So from floor, or from the top of here to the bottom, I'm trying to think. I want to say it's like 12 inches, or I think it's about 12, maybe 13 inches or so from the the platform of the bed to the floor. I would like to lower that if I could. Obviously, it's way too much for a pain in the butt. I can almost sit up straight. My head touches this a little bit when I try to sit up. So, if you don't need the storage space underneath, I think if you're going to try to copy this sort of setup, lowering it maybe 2 or 3 inches, especially if you're similar to my height, would definitely be beneficial for being able to hang out in here during the day and stuff like that. I usually sleep with my head towards the front. So you asked where I put my head when I sleep. Usually towards the front, but it depends. If I park on like a weird incline or something like that, I want to try to keep my head above my feet to not have blood rush into my head at night. So I will sometimes sleep the other way, but more often than not, I sleep towards the front. Next question comes from Jeremy Hoover. They say, how old are you? Did you ever get a degree? Yes, I have a bachelor's degree, a double major in international relations and Spanish, and I'm in my late 20s. Next question comes from Chat in the Sun. They say, what Nate, is the wire coming from the sky above your head? I wonder if you have any trouble with moisture tracking down it. So this is my solar panel. It connects my solar panels to my charge controller underneath here. For some reason, I have never had any problems with moisture tracking in or anything like that. The seal, when it's closed, is tight enough to not cause any leaking. It has never leaked before, so knock on wood, hopefully it stays that way. Next question comes from Adrian Rogers. They say, hi Nate, I'll be heading to San Diego at the end of the month for the first time. What and where are some interesting places that you'd recommend visiting for the first time? I'm definitely hitting the zoo, but what are some other places? Thanks in advance for the info. Man, I really miss San Diego. That's a good question. I would say Balboa Park is definitely something that you should check out if it's not already on your radar. I didn't go there for the first time until I was like leaving San Diego, so after spending the whole summer there, but I ended up spending a couple of days there. It was really, really beautiful, and there's a lot to see there. Also, I really like Black's Beach. Even if you don't surf, it's just a beautiful, absolutely incredible experience to hike down that trail, the main trail there from the parking lot, and just walk on the beach and then hike back up it. It definitely takes some effort. It's not really an easy hike, but if you take your time, it's absolutely beautiful, and you'll get some incredible scenic shots definitely from that. It's absolutely beautiful. What else? I don't know. I spent most of my time in Ocean Beach and Mission Beach, and like Mission Beach is really cool to check out. It's also really pretty and really nice. So, definitely that area. There's a ton to do and a ton to see in San Diego. You can't really go wrong. It's definitely one of the most beautiful cities that I've ever seen. And the last question here comes from Lisa Mallard. They say, I know you previously mentioned your family didn't approve of your lifestyle. Have they come around since they see you traveling and enjoying life? I think to an extent they have come around a little bit. They're certainly not open to the idea that I live in a car or a van or anything like that. and I don't think that they ever will be, but they are a little bit more open to it. I seem to be talking with them a little bit more regularly. They definitely worry about me, which I think is normal, but yeah, I mean, they definitely seem to be a little bit more open to it all. So that sums it up for all the questions from you guys. Like I said, feel free to post them below and I will answer them in the next Tuesday Q&A video. The next one will be on February 7th. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll talk to y'all in the next video.